Oh man, I'm so full right now. This damn hurricane everywhere. But anyway, let me try to squeeze this video in. You know, I'm looking at the comments of my video titled Ragnar. And there's black men in the comment section that are triggered by the thumbnail. Don't even get it. The fact that the guy calls himself Ragnar. I don't know why he calls himself Ragnar. Vikings is a popular show. Not just white people watch this show, Vikings. Just like y'all like Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead, whatever. A lot of people watch freaking Vikings. And obviously he named himself his pseudonym, screen name, his AKA Ragnar, because he identified with the character Ragnar. Now, I don't watch the show Vikings. I just typed it in. I was like, Ragnar. I was like, I bet that sounds like a Viking name. Why is he calling himself Ragnar? And I click on Google Images, and that was the first thing that came up. Now, from the little bit that I've seen of Ragnar, he's, obviously the alpha male Viking and not giving a fuck and doesn't take any shit and questions everything. And the quote that's in there, again, which was a part of the damn thumbnail, that I get all these black Abrahamic people who listen to me. He's questioning, or challenging, the whole concept of the gods and everything, and basically saying that these are these people that need to operate like this because they can't find the answers themselves. They got to overcomplicate things with God. And I think what's so funny about it, and that's probably what, I mean, you got to look at what this guy named Ragnar, not the fictional character in the show, but this black man, this 33-year-old black man who they called in Dr. T. Hassan Johnson's show. What's funny is, I get these black people that come over here, and I understand I'm in the extreme minority where, most black people are magical as all get out. They love God. They love Jesus. They love Allah, right? But yet, when we get into the discussions about talking about black women, there's all this, we have to question this. We have to challenge this. We rebuke the black woman. We rebuke, our mothers and the women that birthed us because, there's a whole bunch of shit as it pertains to their behavior that just isn't right, which a lot of people would say is blasphemy. And so when I post the Ragnar thumbnail, and here you have this character that clearly this brother identified with, who's questioning the existence of the gods that everybody else subscribes to. I'm like, you don't see the parallel between you rejecting the black woman and the woman that birthed you, and an atheist rejecting religion, or at the very least questioning it? You don't see the parallels in that shit? Some of you are slow. You're slow. Your thinking is slow. And this is a very significant concern to me when we discuss being able to do things, as black people. On a side note, I'm watching the Democrats. They're actually, trying to juggle around saying that that they should let some of these other, like, mess around with the politics and let Republicans win so that Joe Biden can, before the next election, say that the Democrats are blocking shit. The Republicans are blocking shit. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to say that they should let other candidates win over Donald Trump or vice versa. I didn't even follow it, but I'm just like, all this strategic shit that they're doing, where on the front end it looks like they're losing, but in reality, their strategy is a strategy of winning. I'm not saying that it's actually going to work. I'm saying that that's what their strategy is. It's just like this this what do you call it? The attorneys general, I think it is, that in Texas, that just challenged this court ruling of 18-year-olds being able to carry firearms. And he challenged it. People say, I thought Texas was a pro-gun state. It's supposed to be a pro-gun state. Why is he challenging this? So that it moves up the courts and goes to the Supreme Court, dumbass. You know what I'm saying? But you get people, oh man, why is he challenging? I thought Texas was pro. Because that's just local. It's just a district court. He needs it to go up and got to go up to the whatever the appellate courts and all that shit, and then go to the Supreme Court. So regardless of whether the Texas Attorney General agrees with it or not, he's challenging it. I don't know what it is about it. Like this is the shit that like irritates me, because you'll have the white supremacists come through and talk about low IQs and shit like that, and I'll sit there and I'll look at my people, and when it comes to us doing things strategically, we don't get it. Like, y'all can't make connections on shit. Like, that's really sad that you all can't make connections. You actually in the comment section like, why is this there? Like, you couldn't even pause for 30 seconds and think about it. But anyway, moving on to the main topic of this video. About Ragnar and his whole, the points that he was making. Man, listening to that shit live, like the first time, like that shit resonated. There was a couple things that he said that resonated. When he said he was heartbroken, that hit me. Even his tone, it just sounded so fed up. It sounded like he didn't start in a bad place when it came, to sisters. Like, it seemed like, he was just, like most of us were, just open to the idea. You know what I mean? We didn't think it was going to be this bad. And now that we know where a lot of this shit comes from, we due to the internet and online and questioning it, now, I mean, we're quick to identify it. I'm like, oh, this is that disrespectful disposition. You know what I mean? Or what did Kevin call it? The low boiling contempt or something like that. The other thing that stuck out to me is he said, and I've challenged Captain Solo on this shit so much, about, because we'll get into, topics of, colorism. Obviously, if a brother doesn't find black women attractive at all, then everything else doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, you don't find them attractive, we don't need to discuss what their behavior is. Even if their behavior is bad, it's like you ain't even looking at them anyway. But and a lot of women try to run with that as well. But that question that he asked about, how can you love somebody who hates you? I have thrown that question at Cap quite a few times over the years. Even when we used to talk about, my issue with being with a black woman who's Christian. And even Cap went through a situation where he was with a woman who had 3 kids. She was on welfare. She was taking the bus. Captain Solo bought her a vehicle and said, look, I bought the vehicle, but you got to pay the insurance, which means you got to get a job. And when her having to get a job was going to interfere with her choir practice, she rejected the car. And then she had the audacity to say to him, Jesus would have done this for me. Cap that day was a rock's throw away from throwing that woman over the balcony. In a situation with a woman with 3 kids that are not his, trying to lift her up out of her situation. Hey, I want to be with you. You got 3 kids, whatever, but you're going to need a car because, you in public transportation with 3 kids, that's not a good look. But, because she was on her bullshit, she was trying to find any way out of that responsibility. And to tell a man, the man that is the father of your children hasn't even done for you. And here you got Captain Solo, doing for you. And not only do you reject it, but you have the audacity to sit there and talk about what an imaginary white Jesus would have done for you, even though it was never done. And I told Cap, when it came to, black women and Christianity. I already knew. I said right off top, even my whole beliefs, my irritation and frustration with, these Abrahamic religions, dealing with black women who the vast majority, black women are more inclined to be religious than black men. Because they got to make less happen in the world than black men. They run around, they rely on hope. A man cannot rely on hope indefinitely. Again, like Chris Rock said, black men are not loved unconditionally. We don't get loved until we produce or we provide. So right from the gate, right from the womb, we have a different world perspective, or we learn about, the realities of being a man. So we don't have time to sit around and think about magic, which is why you'll see, a greater number of atheists, in my opinion, amongst black men than you will black women. And that's probably true across the board, of all races, because we got to make shit happen. I remember there was this guy, who from, he was from Lebanon, and you see, I don't know if you know about what's going on in Lebanon, but, his father was in the Lebanese war. And they got all different type of factions going on. And he said that the horrors that he saw from that war made him an atheist. I didn't even go into detail of what he saw. But he said that his father told him the horrors of war that he saw, made him an atheist. But, that has always bothered me. The whole idea that, like, here, black men, we get hit with all this media propaganda, stereotypes, all this shit. And that you can go out here as a black man, you're trying to fight all these fucking stereotypes that have been bestowed upon you, right? Before you even got here. And you're out here working, grinding, doing what you need to do. And a black woman, that you do something for, has the audacity to sit there and say, thank you, Jesus. Not thank you to you, thank you, Jesus. That has always bothered me. That has always bothered me. You know what I mean? And the only way I can get black women to really understand that is it goes to something that I said it before, but then Killer Mike, when I say things, I don't have as big of an audience as Killer Mike, but Killer Mike said something very similar when he was talking about the divinity of, the Virgin Mary. Like when you got the Virgin Mary up there and the mother of Jesus and you see this white Jesus and it brings into question, the white woman is divine, the white man is divine, but then there's nothing divine about a black woman. And bringing up that example is most black people, they don't even think about the Virgin Mary because they're not Catholic. They're Christian, Methodist, Lutheran, Protestant, Southern Baptist, right? All these sorts of things, right? Though there are all these other denominations and whatnot. They don't really focus on the Virgin Mary. But when you put it in that context, now you see what you mean. You know what I mean? Like, if I do something for a black woman, I want to hear a thank you. I don't want to hear a thank you, Jesus. I don't want to hear, God worked, moved the whole universe to put you in front of me so that you could do this great thing. No, bitch, I did it. I literally just woke up and decided I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this. Like, that shit pisses me off. And notice how if you choose not to do it as a black man, if you choose not to do something that's not going to benefit a black woman, it's all your fault. It's all you. It's all your decision or your lack of motivation or your lack of doing something. But when you actually do it, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God. Thank you, the Lord. That shit pisses me the fuck off. And maybe I got an extra chip on my shoulder about it as a black man in America with all the negative shit, all the negative stereotypes that you got to go through about what we don't do and y'all ain't building and y'all ain't this and y'all ain't that. And you go out of your way to do some shit and you can't even get the basic. Now, I'm not asking for you to lick my balls and suck my dick and let me blow your back. I ain't asking you to do none of that. All we talking about is a goddamn thank you. I want to hear no shit about thank you, Jesus. Thank you. That is not that you want to talk about something that whatever I gave you, I will snatch that motherfucker back. Talk to me about some thank you, Jesus, when I did some shit for you. But where was I going? I got totally off topic. Talking about Cap and in his situation, what the brother said about being heartbroken. Oh, yeah, that whole, loving somebody who hates you. And the thing, it didn't start with, he brought up, friggin' divester zealot. Like, that's not where it starts for me. That's some new shit. All that, bullet bag talk and all that, they need to be aborted and all that. That's some new talk. That to me, that's out of the pain of rejection or some shit like that. Right? Because, the decisions they made and who they made those decisions with, the shit didn't work out. And there, again, it keeps saying life does not have any do-overs. You only get one trip around this motherfucker. And there is an age that you get to and you realize like shit. Like it's never going to be whatever it is that you thought. When you're young and you're 20 something, you got a whole bunch of hope. You know what I mean? But as you get older, when you get over the hill, you know what I mean? Like, and you realize like you can't go back. That's why you see these women, that woman that, 45 years old and she's crying. You know what I mean? No man is sitting around saying, "Ooh, let me get a 45-year-old woman." That even she would be interested in. Yeah, a 65-year-old man may be like, "Hey, give me a 45-year-old woman who's like fit and looks good, and hey, I'm 65. I'll accept the fact that she has kids." You know what I mean? But a man that's really like doing well for himself and is the type of man that, women say that they like on paper, he's not looking for that. He has more options. And this is the reality that, Kevin, was always talking about on his show, being realistic. But women think that they got an infinite amount of time and that they can do whatever. And don't get it twisted. Some of the men think that shit too. Ironically, Kevin did himself. All that, I can be, I'm an immortal and everything else like that. And he dead at 53 years old from a heart attack. Like people need to wake up to the reality that you have a very limited amount of time on this planet. 35 is the halfway point. If you die at 70, nobody's going to be like, "Oh, she was so young. He was so young." Nobody's going to say that. They're going to be like, "That's a full life. 70 years old, that's a full life." Everything after 70, I would say, is count your blessings. So, what was I gonna say? Yeah, that for me, it doesn't start with Divester Zealot. For me, it starts, probably all the way back into the I'd say 80s, early 90s. I mean, 80s I was kind of too young, but you start going into like the early 90s and like I said, those talk shows that the way that black girls was like, "You go girl," like that's when all that shit took off. Black girls, it wasn't Black Girl Magic, it was like, "You go girl." I mean, that's what it was. There was this like all this, black women are better than black boys. There was all this bigging up of black girls. They were treating black boys like they were defective girls, right? Despite all the studies that like boys are more hands-on and they learn differently and all that other stuff. It was like because they couldn't sit quietly in a classroom and they needed recess, so there's something wrong with these boys, right? Like acting like even what men and women are attracted to, across the board is the exact same thing. When boys act like girls or behave like girls, women are not attracted to them. But yet we think that the apex of male behavior is to get boys to act like girls. And those guys are the number one guys that are bitchless. And so many young men have been told that, not just in the black community, but outside of the black community. That's why you think you see all these fucking angry ass incels and shit. They were lied to. I mean, don't be surprised with the increase of incels that coincides with the increase of single mothers. Single mothers who told their sons the way that they want the world to be as opposed to the way that the world actually is. And there's nothing worse than being told some shit that is just woefully untrue that you can't even correct when you get older. It's so ingrained in you. But anyway, I'm getting off topic again. The other thing that he said is when he got to the end. I mean, I don't know what was going on with his mom, whether that was his foster mom or biological. Sounds like he was the biological child, and then she had foster kids. Now, I don't know anything about that world. Cap told me that there's a lot of women that will get into foster care and, just for the money. And, that's where you get all that Antoine Fisher type of shit. And so there's a lot of foul stuff that goes down in foster care. It's not like, oh, these parents are a blessing. Like, nah, there's some foul stuff. And it just sounds like, based on what Ragnar was saying in the video, that his mother was not of the utmost moral character. And I've talked about that whole thing, like when he said, like his, foster sister was talking about the mother not being fair, and then she was asking him for help, and the mother snapped like, he can't help you, just like he said, shattering the faith in black. That has been going on for so long, like ruining girls that haven't had shit happen to them. This assumption that all of you are going to have, the same experience with a black man. I mean, the ugly reality is, a woman may not have the same experience just off of the fact that she's prettier than another bitch. A girl that is 10 is not going to have the same experience as a woman who's a 4. Right? Y'all run around talking about pretty privilege, right? But yet you'll have women that go, like mothers and shit, they'll go out here and make these blanket statements, corrupt these girls before they can even experience, anything nice. Stank attitudes and everything else, on top of this whole belief system that black women are better versions of black men. That's where it starts for me. I don't have to go to Divest or Zealot. No, that fake ass freaking sinister smile, that the man stroking that they don't really believe. It reminds me, it's similar to, but it's not the same. It's like when you get a guy and he's trying to holler at a chick, hey girl, you beautiful girl. Oh, chocolate. Hey, chocolate. Right? He hollering at her, everything. Girl, you were so fine. As soon as she rejects him, oh, bitch, you ain't shit. Right? But I don't believe that the dudes really, I'm like, man, you were trying to holler, man. Like, I don't buy the whole thing that she ain't shit all of a sudden just because she rejected you. But when it comes to black women that go around with the man stroking, I don't believe that they believe, any of what they're saying about, how awesome a black man is and all this, I believe in you, but I don't buy into that shit. Because you see, like, as soon as they don't get what they want, it's all of a sudden, niggas ain't shit, all this stuff, like, it immediately goes into they ain't shit. And I do truly believe that that's a lot of black women's baseline, that they think that they're better than black men. This is why you hear all these phrases. A black man can't do anything without the strength of a black woman. Where the fuck does a 22-year-old black female get that from? You ain't even lived with a nigga. A black woman can't do anything without this. A black man can't do anything without the strength of a black woman. You know, and there's this other guy, you know, something wisdom. I forget what his name is. You know, he got like the dreads and everything. He just did a video. He does like this, you know, he just reviews videos on relationships. He just hit 100,000, you know, subs and everything. And then he made a video talking about how you know, his woman built Dusty Talk. I even left a comment. You know, he went in there talking about, you know, how his woman built him up and all that. I'm like, you dumbass. You dumbass. Yeah, and I hope you stay with her, because if you break up with her, God forbid you leave her for a white woman, then it'll be she's the come up woman. You know what I mean? Like a lot of dudes don't recognize this shit about what they think that you're incapable of doing by yourself. And y'all get in these relationships. Oh man, she support me. She down for me. That's why I can't stand the BGS talking points. She down for me. I need a woman to get my back. I need a woman that recognizes my full potential. Motherfucker, they're not recognizing their full potential. Your full potential. No, they're looking at you like, oh, let me help this black man because they can't accomplish anything without our wisdom as black women. You know, and then you're in this situation where, again, like you owe her and whatnot. Whether she's doing that intentionally or not, I personally think a lot of women are leveraging that shit and trying to create that or fabricate that sort of IOU, you know, so that you feel that you're obligated to them in a relationship and all that other stuff, which I don't particularly care for, because there's been plenty of not videos, but situations, you know, that I've witnessed and heard of, you know, black men being with women that they're not all that moved by because she's down. You know, but, you know, she wants to be ravished. I'm like, you didn't get him off of being ravished. You got him off of the strength of, you know, trying to support him and all that other bullshit and lending him $100 like this dude said in the video. And he's like, no, I'm a high value man. No, you're not a high value man. You're a nigga that she built because you didn't get there by yourself. I don't know what niggas don't get about that shit. And he literally is sitting in the video smiling, talking about how great their marriage is, and she's a supportive woman, and that's the type of woman that we need out here. Y'all don't see the problem with that shit? When these bitches run around talking about, you know, how they gonna go off and be a corporate executive and everything, and they making big moves and all this other stuff. You see how fucking ambitious they talk? I'm not talking about whether they actually get there or not. I'm talking about they don't have any barriers to the idea that they can get there underneath their own steam. And yet you got niggas sitting around all day online talking about, no, I'm looking for a bitch that could support me and have my back. You know what I mean? It's just it's dusty talk. You know, and so like there's aspects of this where I want to be mad at black women, just you know, full blown go Super Saiyan on their ass. But then there's examples that I can point to where brothers are up there talking dumb shit. I mean, literally talking dumb shit about she support me and all this other shit. There's another video clip of some dude. He's up there talking about how, you know, she can't look at his money.
A woman's submission is based on a man's leadership. Then what is his ability to lead based on? Trip?
His ability to submit. I think we've already established that tone in this conversation. I think in order to be an effective leader, you need to know when to move out the way.
Oh, that's good. I like
because,
that.
You know, and it's not to refute what anybody else is saying, but I don't think it's always the man who has the vision in a relationship, and I don't think it's always him that's supposed to. If let's say my lady is a lawyer, she pulling in 150 a year. The vision is clear. We're gonna need a few more years of what you got going on before we start talking about who I'm supposed to be and what I got going on. And if I need to lead by moving out of her way so she can accomplish some things to better us, then I need to be strong enough to do that. So I think a lot of men lead from an egotistical place where it's about what I want, not about what we need.
You know what I mean? But is she making $150,000 and supporting him and all this other stuff and, you know, for 2 years and everything? And you know what's so stupid? Because the women are equally as dumb on this shit because they'll sit there and they'll co-sign the shit. I'm like, what are you co-signing? The nigga just said you gonna be the mule for 2 years and you know, you can't look at his money. You can't look at what he's doing. And these women literally sat there and were like, yes, yes. So y'all just as guilty when you want to talk about these dudes, you know, with their dusty mentality, because you co-sign it. And this is why you like there's so many problems in the black community because of wrong orientation. Women who have the wrong orientation and men who have the wrong orientation. But my issue is when these women come across, you know, when they try to pull this bullshit with this, you know, oh, it's because, you know, it's because, you know, we're this way because black men are such and such and such and such, right? And I'm like, but why the two orders? Right? It's like Cynthia G sitting up there talking about, like the idea that black women are leading because black men failed. But then how many times do we got to hear in ancient Africa of examples of, you know, when women were ruling in ancient Africa? Where do you got to hear this? You know, that's Eurocentric. That leadership you're talking about, that patriarchal leadership, that's Eurocentric. How can you charge black men with the responsibility of playing a role that you don't fundamentally believe in? If you don't fundamentally believe in that, you can't charge him with the responsibility of playing that role. You don't believe in it. You believe that we operated on something completely different. And somehow got the same exact outcome or better than what other groups have right now. Where I see no evidence of that shit. The other thing that the brother said at the end of the video, was where he's that hit me was when he said, I can't trust you because I don't know where any interaction is going to go with you. And that, man, that statement right there, I'm not saying that that's more important than any of the other statements that he made, but that statement right there, like, man, that shit hit. I can't trust you. I can't trust any interaction that I have with you. Because it could just go all the way left. When he brought up the situation of the woman, you know, getting in his face. You know, it's like, chick, I'm a man. Like, what are you doing? Like, niggas get bodied for doing what you're doing. And you just acting like, I'm just going to sit here and take it just off of the strength that you a fucking female. Like, you got some, you know, protective bubble around you. That's why I never, you know, the black woman running around talking about she's so unprotected. I'm like, if y'all didn't feel protected, you know what I mean? Then how is it that you're walking up in a dude's face acting like you're not gonna get hit? You know, you got women running around throwing around false statistics. Black women get killed, you know, every 5 minutes or whatever the hell it is. They getting killed all the time. Okay, so why is it you got women who think that they're gonna get up in a dude's face like legitimately like they're gonna beat his ass? What is that? I don't believe that y'all get in these guys' faces thinking that he's going to hit you. Y'all really believe that you all are protected and that he's not going to hit you. Or if he does, somebody else is going to come in and intervene. You know, like he said in the video, you know, y'all be running around acting like dudes are putting hands on you all over the place and Ike Turner kicking you across the room. And he's like, that's not what's going down. Dudes are walking away from you, which is why a lot of you filed a complaint about abandonment. Because they walk away. There are way more brothers who walk away from sisters than are putting hands on you. That's just a fact. And when they do put hands on you, for the ones that do put hands on you, that's why there's a lot of dead niggas around here. There's a lot of black men that are dead, like Merlin Santana, off of the strength of a black woman's word. because she made a phone call or she calls somebody and the shit gets escalated and now somebody's dead because some other niggas came up with the capes on trying to protect her honor when she was dead wrong. Y'all do that shit all the time. Then turn around and talk about ain't nobody coming to your rescue. But yet this black man over here is dead because you called your brother or you called your cousins or you called your boyfriend. He's dead, but y'all run around the internet talking about nobody comes to your rescue and nobody protects you and all that other stuff. But yet we got cemeteries full of black men, some of which were innocent. What else? What else is just like, and I mean, I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning, but even the whole conversation revolved around that Udoku and the whole Celtics thing, and the woman that called in, what's her name, Malika, whatever her name is, calling in Stephen A. Smith's show and mommying him. I like what BGS said. I don't agree with BGS on the money tip, but on how he described it, it was mommying. Now, this is a biracial woman, and I try to be as careful as possible not to ascribe, what this woman did to dark-skinned women, because dark-skinned women don't get the benefit of when a light-skinned biracial woman does something positive, and then they get the positive shit of it. But I gotta ask the question: who was she catering to with this? Like, this shit is so normalized, this sort of mommying. Like, just that, like, even that Tiffany Cook chick up there on MSNBC. I've been talking about the mommying on MSNBC. Joy Reid, the way that she went after Coleon Noir when he had that discussion with Killer Mike, and went after Killer Mike. Two black men talking about firearms and self-defense. Right? Which has always been an issue, like, since the conception of this nation as it pertains to, white supremacy and the way that black men were lynched and all that stuff, right? And here we are, in I think that was like 2 years ago, 2020 or whatever it was, two black men, the NRA bringing in Coleon Noir, bringing in more black people. Because even black women have went out and bought guns. They're like the largest growing number of people when it comes to, purchasing firearms for self-defense. And everybody's like, oh, the NRA is racist. Okay, well, why did they bring on Coleon Noir? You know what I mean? I'm not saying that they're gonna get, the freaking the BET awards anytime soon, but I'm saying they at least extended an olive branch. Yeah, as black people, yeah, we do need to talk about the Second Amendment. But because it's all about a Democrat agenda and it's not about a black agenda, Joy Reid went in and she attacked it. Again, the typical black woman sick dog. And tried to regulate two black men having a conversation about self-defense and protection. And one of them has a family that he's trying to protect. But yet, Cynthia G and all these other women will come online and talk about the black woman's not protected. Y'all not protected. So let me get this right. So two black men try to have a conversation about armed self-defense, and you got a black woman who tries to come in and regulate, but yet you're going to talk about the black woman's not protected. Like, this is what we talk about. This not only disrespectful disposition towards black men, but just this always wanting to control the conversation about what are black men doing? What are they saying? What are they? And again, white supremacy just comes through and just gives them the freaking the platform and the ability to do that shit. It's like black women truly do not know their place. That's why Ragnar was talking about, they chose to be with white zaddy. And it's so bad that black men, and I'm saying, I've been feeling like this the majority of my life. We don't feel like black women are in our corner. We don't. Not as a collective. Yeah, there's black women individually I fuck with and everything else. She's got my back, I got her back, even on a friend tip. But collectively, like to sit there and make a generalized positive statement about black women, I can't do that. No. It's that bad. It's so bad. You got black girls that aren't even adults. They don't even have the life experience, and they're regurgitating shit from older black women. Talking about stories of abandonment and these sort of single mother narratives. When I came online, you know what I was accused of, and many of the brothers that when we came online, y'all just mad that you can't get a black woman. Y'all remember that one? Y'all just mad you can't get a black woman. Who hurt you? Right? You're mad because you're not getting any ass. And I agree. Yeah, there's probably a lot of brothers that are mad they're not getting any ass, and Pookie was getting all the ass and everything. But like that goes to my point about when they file these complaints about, deadbeat dads and stuff like that. I'm like, you're really going to try to sit here and charge the men that you just got finished saying are mad because they weren't getting any ass as to the ones that were either A, running through a bunch of bitches and breaking their hearts, or B, pumping women up full of a bunch of babies. I've said it before. I'm like, you all are sharing men. You only want to deal with the top 10% of men, based on, not only just money, but also, these sort of criteria that the black community values: swag, clout, name in the streets and all that stuff. That's what you all value. And you get with these guys and you have their babies, and that's who you're really complaining about majority of the time. You're not complaining about men that you're not dealing with, that you're not even moved by or even attracted to. You only bring them up, if they got two nickels to rub together because they were 10 years on their grind and now they're successful, and now you want to make yourself to be the victim that this is colorism or self-hate and you're not being chosen, and that's why you're a single mother in poverty or some shit like that. When you were out here, dealing with the most high-risk individuals ever. Most men out here are not running through bitches because most women only want the top 10% of dudes. He's got to be tall. He's got to be muscular. He's got to be rich. He's got to be charismatic. He's got to be funny. He's got to be entertaining. He's got to have all of these things. Those are the ones we want to get with. And it shows, which is why you have guys like Country Wayne, who has multiple baby mamas. You got guys like Future, who has multiple baby mamas. You got guys like Nick Cannon, who has multiple baby mamas. You see, you got guys like Desmond Hatchett, who has multiple baby mamas. Like, how do you get 31 kids? And last time I checked, he had like 12 baby mamas. Like, what was woman number 11 and 12 thinking? Like, how does that work? Like, I get woman number 1. I don't charge her with any sort of crime, right? Because she was the first one. But when you start getting up there 4, 5, 6, it's like, how the fuck? How did you become number 3? God, I mean, how? How did you get to 3? How did you look at this man and say, oh, he's got 2 kids by 2 different women, I think I'll have his 3rd? Like, how does that happen? But all y'all got to do is come online and talk about, oh, black men are so terrible. We don't even know how to formulate the language or even have the conversation about the things that black men experience, not just with their mothers, but the women that they try to date and interact with. All we know is how to frame things in a way where black women are the victims. We can't talk about, men are told to shut up and suck it up. We can't talk about what they go through. And then when they just get tired of it because they can't win, if you open your mouth, oh, you hate black women, you hate your mother, You hate black dogs, you hate the asphalt, you hate black limousines, you hate black tuxedos, you hate black holes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you hate everything black. We can't even begin to have the conversation. And all black men can do is walk away. That's literally all they can do is walk away. Then the conversation turns into abandonment. Because if you complain too much, you're just a complainer, or again, you hate everything black and hate black women and all that other shit. And I'm like, yo, this was totally foul. This was some foul shit that was done. And personally, I think a lot of women, they go out here and they like picking dysfunctional men because that's an easy out for them. As long as the dude is broken, dysfunctional, there's something wrong with him, then her issues don't bubble up to the surface. Not immediately. See, if the dude's got it all together, she feels like, well, what is my place? What is my role? Right? And then again, the matriarchy and all that other stuff tells her that there's something wrong with her for being that way. This is what's happened to a number of women online who used to be in this conversation. They were married, they were taken care of, they were stay-at-home wives. And women were coming at them, telling them that there's something wrong with them because they're stay-at-home wives. But then we end up having these conversations from like the Cynthia G's and the divester Sellards where they want to argue like the problem is black women, when they date black men, they don't have the option of being stay-at-home wives, and that's why you need to go out here and get with white men. But then when black men are providing and the woman is a stay-at-home wife, he's the oppressor. He's oppressing her. He controls too much. Again, we go back and forth with this hypergamous equality situation where they say that they want equality, but then when they get equality, they want hypergamy. Then when they get hypergamy, then they call it oppression and then say that they want equality. No, what they literally want is they want a man who's rich as fuck and lets them do whatever the hell they want to do. That's what they want. That's what all these women want. I want him to be balling out of control and he just gives me his credit card, you know what I mean? And I just run around and go on a shopping spree and he don't have shit to say to me. This is why you have women who do like the aspects of welfare, because the government is not in a black woman's day-to-day operations. The government is not asking her how she spends her, her money and how she allocates her resources. I mean, even when it comes to child support, which is supposed to be for the child, it is child support. It is not alimony. It is child support. And there's been, talkings of men, trying to get the courts where the woman has to itemize what she spent the money on coming from the child support. And women have been the biggest objectors of that. Because all that money is not being spent on the child. We know that. So when these women come online and they want to file their complaints about fairness and justice and all that shit, it's bullshit. But I mean, we definitely have a problem that just, I mean, people do not want to address it. It just does not get addressed. This whole, the whole aspect of women who want power. It's like what I say about the white supremacists. Like, as soon as I hear we want to maintain power, I'm like, oh, well, you can spare me about a meritocracy. You can spare me about, oh, well, black people, if you just go to school and get an education, da 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 da. No, you still want to be in control. It's not like you're going to be like, oh, black people, we see that you're getting straight A's and you're killing it and everything. You should be the ones running the show. Like, no. Again, all you got to do is look at Asians and the bamboo ceiling. All you got to do is look at Asians. Yeah, Asians, they make some great middle managers, but why don't we see more Asian American CEOs? If they're so smart. You know, like they think white folks think they slick when they, come over here and try to use Asians as the model minority. But how come we don't see more Asians in leadership positions? If they're so smart, if they're going to Ivy League schools, if they're smashing, the SAT and all that other stuff, how come we don't see them in the driver's seat? Because it's not a meritocracy. And when it comes to, women who, want and seek, power, they're sitting there talking about, we all submit when you all build and this, that, and that's bullshit. Wanting power is a non-negotiable. There is nothing that a man can offer you that is going to be good enough when you want power. You want the ability to make decisions. As nappy-headed Jehovah said, what did she say? What did she say? Basically, in so many words, being on the arm of a black man is not a position of power. It is a position of privilege. And any woman who wants power, privilege, I don't care how much money you spend on her, privilege is not what you want. And this is the whole key thing. This is where even some of the miscommunication with myself and BGS is. Because people will be like, well, money's not going to fix the problem. Yeah, money's not going to fix the problem with a woman who wants power. But if you think that you're going to get a woman who is not seeking power to get with the program when you have little to nothing to offer her that is greater than what she can do for herself, you got another thought coming. But this is where we are. I mean, that brother Ragnar, like everything that he said, like I knew this was coming. Like when I came online, this dude was somewhere around 18 years old. And now he's, what did he say? He was 33 or something like that. I said this was going to happen. Wayne Riley, I saw your comment. I said this was going to happen. I said everything I've said has come to fruition. I said you're going to see these black boys at younger and younger ages. They're going to be like, yo, I'm out. We saw this even with that damn prom picture with all them white girls. I think there was maybe like 2 black girls in there, but they were like light skinned, extremely light skinned. They might have been mixed. I don't know. But nobody in that picture was as dark as the damn boys were. Like I said this shit. These aspects that are identified as cultural, where black women who are brown to dark skin, that becomes a signifier of attitude and belligerence and all that other stuff. And so as soon as people see the dark skin, they like, oh, same way that when they see black men, they're like, oh, criminality, sexual deviance. Like it becomes, like a stereotype, a knee-jerk reaction, a what's the word that I'm looking for? I can't think of what I'm looking for. A prejudice. People are indeed prejudging you because, like, the fact of the matter is, people do take mental shortcuts. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just what they do. They get on a plane and they see, an Arab dude. They get nervous and shit like that. Why? Because you don't see anybody else fucking hijacking planes. That's why. I mean, yeah, we can talk about, the underlying circumstances and all that other shit, but in the moment, nobody cares about that. All they say in their brain, every time I see this action, I see somebody who looks like you. That's what they say. And as long as the numbers are disproportionate on that, that's those sort of stereotypes, they're going to stick. They're going to stick for black men. They're going to stick for black women. They're just going to stick for everybody. You know what I mean? Stick for white men. You know, like people are not running around. You know, like if I say pedophile, people think white man before they think black man. You know, and white men did not do themselves a favor with this show To Catch a Predator, because all the people that they were catching, the vast majority of them were white men. You see, but like you got to look at like how they were catching them, right? They were catching them on being on online forums. So that means that the people, they got to have computers in their home, which a lot of black people don't have. They got to have a Wi-Fi connection, right? Which a lot of black people don't have. That's why when you go to public libraries, there's a bunch of black people sitting at the computers, taking them all up, you know, applying for jobs because they don't have access to a computer. So if that's the way that you're trying to attract people, of course you're not going to see a whole bunch of black men in there on some pedophilia type shit. Not because there aren't any black pedophiles, no, because the means by which you went to get pedophiles on, you know, the freaking via the internet, you know, it was, you know, you have these sort of economic disparities. So Chad is going to show up way more than Jamal. You know, like, I mean, every time, whenever they did have a black guy on the show, he was what? Upper middle class. He was not in poverty. He was not from the hood. He was not any of that. You know, so, you know, these are the sorts of, you know, things that people got to, you know, take into consideration. I'm saying if you want to have any sort of intellectual integrity. But, I mean, just overall with Ragnar, I mean, I felt that shit. You know, how do you love somebody that like, and it's not even just the hate part. It's because hate is a very strong word. It's the whole thinking that they're better than you. You know, like, yeah, like in patriarchy, yes, men think that they're quote unquote better than women because they got to provide and all this other stuff. It's not, they understand women are emotional, but it's not like in the same context. It's not like this, you know, you're just beneath me and you're just like when a woman looks at a man like that, that's a problem. A man should be looking at a woman like she's weaker because she is. Freaking glass shatters downstairs and y'all up in the master bedroom and shit, and you look over at your wife. Oh, honey, what are you gonna do? You know? Your turn. Gender equality. That's not gonna work. Motherfucker, you goddamn 300 pounds. The fuck? Or I should say I'm 300 pounds. I know that sounds fucking fat as fuck to most people, but I'm saying you 200 pounds plus. She's a $125. What is she gonna do? Come on. You know what I'm saying? But like somehow that has become offensive today. To sit there and say that, you know, that a man is freaking stronger than a woman and he should handle certain things, like that's offensive. But the irony is like women will turn around in a different conversation, in different context, when like they want protection on command and then demand that a man protect them because he's bigger. I'm like, bitch, that's what I just said. I just said that shit. Yes, you did just say that shit, but you said it from the standpoint of the man protecting the woman on his terms and his say so. I'm like, oh my God. So if it's not on your say so, then it's a problem. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. So he has to go downstairs to protect the woman on the woman's command. Yes. Oh my God. Not because he cannot look at her like she is a weaker vessel. He must go downstairs because she said go downstairs. Like as though he picks up his shotgun, gets to the door, and then she goes, I didn't say that you can go down. I'm about to go downstairs to figure out who the hell's downstairs. No, I didn't say you can go. Hold, wait. Up. Okay, now you can go. For real? Oh, I'm sorry. Now I can go because the queen has given me, permission and shit. You know what I mean? Like, so the men gotta sit there and look at their women and go, if it pleases the crown, if it pleases her highness, may I? Really? And then we wonder why we got all these fucking weak ass men, all these confused. And I don't even think a lot of them are really truly weak. I think they're confused. They were given the wrong software. And the crazy thing is, this only makes it worse for women. This only exacerbates the women only want 10% of dudes. It's going to turn into women only want 5% of dudes. Because because the number of actual masculine, desirable men that are actually what women want, and from the standpoint of like where women can't even resist their own instincts, those number of those men are dwindling. They're dwindling. I just watched a fucking fucking TikTok video. Like, the chick was, she was like, she was like, y'all need to get in the gym. She was like, if y'all ain't getting any gains, no brains. I was like, oh my God. The fact that a woman has to even say that. This is a white woman. The fact that they even have to say that tells you that there's an imbalance out here. And this is why, and I might make a video about what I don't like about the left and all this fucking nutty extremism, and what Ragnar had to say about, you're making us defend Stephen A. Smith, and we don't even like Stephen A. Smith like that. I don't even have an issue with Stephen A. Smith personally. I know that if you say anything that's not on the Democratic plantation, most black people are going to take issue with you. Most are going to take issue with you. But damn, what was I going to say? There was something I was going to say about being about the left. Oh, what was I going to say about the left? And I was tying it back to Stephen A. Smith and most people not liking you. I think I was going to say something to the effect of, it's the same thing, with the left. Like, if you're not in line with their agenda, they look at you like, there's something wrong with you. Like, you're not allowed to think independently. I don't know why so many black women like don't see this. I know there's a handful of the do, your Shay Sade, who else is another sister that like speaks out against a lot of this shit. But it's just like Pink Book Lesson. There's just it's like, I don't know how black women don't see that they're being used. It's like they're drunk off of power or something, or the illusion of power. They're like Mickey Mouse and Fantasia. I made a video about that years ago. The black women are like Mickey Mouse and Fantasia. Grab the wizard's hat, fucking around with the mop, don't know what they're doing. And then next thing you know, the mop's out of control, fucking flooding the place. You know what I mean? And then, it's like, it's still the black man's fault. I'm like, bitch, I thought you was running shit. I thought you knew what you were doing with all the shit you were talking. Now it's all fucked up. Now I gotta come in and now I gotta repair it. And this goes right into that whole issue of, it's like, that whole aspect is just broken. I don't know who told women that they can go out here and choose irresponsible men or men who are not qualified to lead. If he's not qualified to lead, you shouldn't be dating him. And you most certainly shouldn't be giving him immortality. And then to charge the responsibility of fixing all of this on the men that had nothing to do with the choices and decisions that you made with the man that you laid up with. I'm like this shit is retarded. It's retarded. I don't know what to tell young brothers. I figure they're gonna figure it out. Hop in the fence, as we've all said before, is not a community solution. It's an individual solution for peace of mind. But it is not a community solution. Bunch of beige, racially ambiguous children, all with, dads getting with moms from different countries with different colors and all of the type of stuff. I don't even know what the unifying force, with that would be. But that does present a problem because it's not a community. They are homeless. And when you got other communities that do have a unifying identifier, from a cultural or demographic standpoint, where they're claiming particular regions and this land, this territory is ours. These resources 100 miles off of our shore, this is ours and this will fuel our economy and shit like that. Like when you sit down and you watch stuff like Caspian, Report, at best, they're just along for the ride for whatever the dominant majority is within that country, but they're not a nation. The only place that I've actually seen where they actually form a group is probably South Africa. They have their own category, the coloreds. Or Brazil with the Pardo community, but I don't think that they have like any sort of political, identity that is tied to a political agenda for just the Pardo community. But nah, man, ain't nobody's gonna sit around and deal with all this fucking disrespect and belligerence and just all these belief systems, and you can't get them to see it. You can't get them to see it. These women run around thinking that they're better than black men. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know how a black man can love that. You sitting there, a woman just thinks that you're just a black. Well, thank you for letting me know. I'm just a black man. I'm not your hero. I'm not anybody you respect. I'm not anybody that you look up to. I'm just a black man. I'm just here to give you a few drops of sperm, as one woman said, so that you can have a baby and that you can go off independently and basically be a mother, especially with the divorce courts, divorce the man, take the fucking resources, take the child, and then go off and do your own thing and feel special because you're a mother and you got resources and you don't have to answer to a man. Like, why would I sign up for that? Why would I sign up to be alienated from my own children if I were to have any? Why would I sign up, to have a situation like that with a woman that whose whole demeanor signifies her propensity to do something like that? And a lot of these women, they think that shit is cute. They encourage each other with, you go, girl, yeah, girl, we winning. We winning because we busted up our families because we want power. We don't want to have to answer to a man. How dare a black man think that, because he's taking on the lion's share of the responsibility, that he has some say? Huh? Who does he think he is? So you want a man that takes on the burden of responsibility but doesn't have any say. Yes. Wow. So what does he get out of it? He gets to recognize divine female principles. That's what he gets out of it. And he gets blessed with the sex that I allow him to have every so often, even though I don't believe in going to the gym, because I ain't going to the gym because I ain't sweating my hair out and I ain't doing that for no man any goddamn way. He should be thankful just to be in my presence. I'm like, God damn. I'm like, so he don't even get his lust and desire. He doesn't even get his sexual needs met. You know how many people out here are having sexless marriages? And women got the audacity to run around and talk about, these men aren't marrying us. Why get married? Why get married? And then you got the whole the sloppiness of the hookup culture in markets where freaking, you can get the milk, from the cow for free. You know what I mean? Or for minimal amounts because there's no real commitment. And it's like, yeah, when you're young, that might be cool. You can have some fun and everything else. But when you get older, there's nothing cool about that. On top of the fact that the dating markets over 40 are completely different than what they are for 20 to 30. They're completely different. After 40, it's expected that people are going to have kids. Hell, some people got grandkids. So, even for those that are running around, I got infinite time and all this other stuff, and that you're going to go out here and you're going to get somebody who was, I don't know, born after 9/11. You know what I'm saying? Like 9/11 to them is some shit that they see in a history book. It's not some shit that they know. Hell, you ever go back and look at the 9/11 shit? It's like, you're like, where's the HD at? You know what I mean? Like, you look at the 9/11 videos, you be like, damn, we was watching this shit? It's like, damn, like that was 2001? Fuck. That shit is crazy. People who only know of Michael Jackson as a white woman. You know what I mean? Like, oh man. Anyway, yeah, I'm done. I knew it was gonna go in this direction. And it's fucked up. It's fucked up because somebody else wrote a comment. And I'm like, no, you can't have a community conversation from this standpoint. No, you can't. Not when dudes are exodus. I talk about the decline of white supremacy because they're over there fucking up and making it so that their fucking grandkids can't even afford to buy a home. But the black community, like whatever counter we thought we were going to do, I'm like, you can't make a counter from this. You gotta, again, the relationships are vital to the existence of the black community. You gotta have positive relationships so that you can have positive marriages, because intact patriarchal households are the fundamental unit of any given community. Without that, you got nothing. Without a man being connected to, a legacy to his children that he's involved with, men have nothing to fight for. They don't have shit to fight for. Once women get control of the kids and have control of the kids, men have literally nothing to fight for. That's why all that shit out here, women want to put hyphens in their name. I'm like, you stupid ass. You want him to feel a sense of ownership, but then you take his name off the shit. Well, I am not his property. I'm like, not the point, bitch. See, this is that lack of critical thinking. When your name is on something, like, that means something. Oh, you can shame the fuck out of somebody. Like, motherfucker, is this your work? Yeah. Your name is on that, right? Yeah. You see, but when their name is not on it, you just remove the layer of that sense of shame that should be attached to not handling the responsibilities. Can't stand when women put hyphens in their name. You know, I might be able to see if you got a PhD and you wrote a bunch of books and, you got to, figure out some way. Yeah, I'm the same woman. I just got married. Like, I get that. But when you got women doing it just off of the strength of, trying to push this fucking stupid ass like equality ideas, I'm like, and then you wonder why, men are like, aloof, stupid. And this whole notion of, somehow men are going to take on, all of the traditional responsibilities devoid of leadership. Fuck all of you on that shit. But just looking at it, I'm just like, I understand brother's frustration because it's like you cannot win. You can't win. The whole, like, it's not just what goes on in the black community. That's one layer, but then you got the greater freaking white society that's on the same bullshit that reinforces it, and it just trickles down, onto us. This is why you got all these young white men looking at Jordan Peterson like he's a god because he's giving them a voice. And it's totally, it's fucked up. It's like all the shit we got to deal. We got to deal with, white supremacy. You got to deal with, them trying to, collectively, keep us down in that bay. And we're just supposed to be like these second class citizens in this society that don't have any say. They don't want to see an intact, thriving black community that can saber rattle like Russia. I mean, what would Africa look like if Africa was intact? Yeah, you would have to buy resources from Africa as a continent at premium prices. And they don't want to do that. So no, let it be fucked up. Same with the African American community. They're not looking at it like, oh, we need to help fix the black community because that would increase the overall U.S. GDP. No, fuck that. Nah, we don't want competition from them niggas. Let it be fucked up. We'd rather, pay for the prison industrial complex and the welfare state because we don't want strong black men because they might challenge us in some way. They might actually acquire power. As I've always said, the white man didn't come into matriarchal communities and burn them down. Them shits get left alone. Every time there's a patriarchal black community, gotta find a reason to go in there and burn it down. Slocum, Texas, Wilmington, North Carolina, Ocoee, Florida, Elaine, Arkansas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, Florida. Anytime, black people gone off and put some shit together that's patriarchal, oh man, we gotta burn them out, man. That's a threat. So it's like we gotta deal with that. And then we got to deal with just all of the nonsense coming from our women because they've been convinced that, the ultimate goal for them is to acquire more power than their men. And it's not even real power. It's like fucking like this pseudo illusionary power. If they really have power like they said, then they literally wouldn't need to demand that black men do anything because they would be out there doing it themselves. Y'all ain't built nothing. Well, again, with all the Super Saiyan power you got, you should be the one that's out here building whatever the fuck needs to be built. But it's like it doesn't register with them the reality of what it is that they don't do as women. And we keep running back into this whole situation where they think that we're going to have a society of worker bee drone men and that women somehow, like the butter bars in Vietnam, because they came out of West Point, that women are going to somehow manage what they weren't on the ground level building. Like as though they're going to manage what men create. I'm like, it's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. Men will quit. They will burn whatever they create down if you just think that you're just gonna come in there and fucking take it and then boss them around. They will abandon that shit. They will let it rot. Like I don't know why women love to come in and just just vacuum all of the oxygen out of a room and then wonder why, black men are not in the space. You know what I mean? They just make it to the point. It's like, there's nothing in there for us. Why would we want to be in that room? I'm not going to sit there and fight you on some basic shit. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I'm good. And the fact of the matter is that the whole rest of the world, to varying degrees, they're not on this shit. And then you have all this progressive shit with the, racism is over and Black Lives Matter and, nobody cares about that anymore. When they really do, the parents, the grandparents, they all care about that shit. The world is still tribal as fuck. You know what I mean? But, the fact that there's way more accessibility, not just, the way that women can slide in the top 10% of men, in their DMs and all that other shit, but the way that there are other, the conventional avenues of, going into the private sector and making money. That's always been a barrier for black men. But now they can go online and make money. They can make money on social media. And then on top of that, then, other women have direct access to them that wouldn't have access to them. Seriously speaking, these are not markets that black women, should be fucking around in. They really do believe that like it's like the 1960s and that like, they can just sit there with their arms folded and black men are just going to deal. I'm like, do you not see how open markets are open for everything? It's not just a matter of, women can just slide in the DMs of whoever they want to. You can slide in the DMs of Leonardo DiCaprio right now. Right now, you go on Instagram, look, Leonardo DiCaprio. You can slide right in them DMs and be like, hey, Leo, this is my IG. This is what I look like in a bathing suit. He'll be like, oh, are you less than 25 years old? Oh, let me fly you out, boo-boo. Right? Instantly, you might get a Birkin bag out of it. Shit. That's how the markets have completely changed. And to think that in 2022, that like the even in the black community, that the shit is still on some 1960s you can't cross the railroad tracks type of shit. I'm like, it's that ain't it anymore like that. I'm not saying that racism is over and that the floodgates of swirl have opened up. No, that's delusional. But I'm just saying, I'm like, when you claim you only have so few men that qualify as the best, and now I'm like, and now you're doing shit that's making it look appealing for dudes to slide out of all these little these leaky doors and shit like that. I'm like, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? This whole attitude, this whole idea that they must deal with you, you need to get that out of your head. It's the same as the job market. You know what I mean? Like people sitting around talking about, when we have a position for you and it's $150,000 and it's, you get, full medical and dental and there's a 401k and all. Is it remote?
Very happy to extend the offer of $150K salary with unlimited PTO, stock options, 401K, and also a relocation salary as well.
Right, that's phenomenal, but is this position remote?
Unfortunately, no. So we're willing to offer you $70,000 per year, 5 days of PTO, no relocation salary, but the position's remote.
When can I start?
Very happy to extend the offer of $150.
No, sorry, it's not remote. Motherfucker, just close that laptop. And then next thing that comes up is a job that's $70,000 and doesn't come with anything, no signing bonus, no relocation fees, but it's remote. Oh, I'll take it. Like you gotta, it's the same thing. The dating market is the same thing. People are willing to be paid less to not have to deal with the commute, to not have to deal with the bullshit, to not have to deal with somebody in their hair, to be able to literally sit at their fucking desk with the camera in front of them in their underwear. Literally, they got a button shirt and a fucking full Windsor tie on, and they're in a meeting and their balls just out, just the breeze just hitting them, while they're sitting there. Hopefully, they don't forget that they can't just get up in front of the camera. But I'm just saying, they could just live there. Everybody's sitting there thinking, oh, look, he's just fully dressed sitting in his living room. No, he's half dressed. I remember they had the situation where they had two guys. They were literally on the news. There was a white guy and a black guy. They were on the news doing an interview. The black guy's kid came in the room, and he got up to close the door and completely forgot that all he had on was his boxers. And the guy reporting the news, the white dude, he was like, hey, don't worry about it. And then he stood up and he was in his boxers. I'm like, so like the whole market has changed in terms of what people are willing to put up with. And I really don't feel like a lot of women have gotten that point. Dude, like, even when we talk about, and I'm about to end this video, but even when people bring up colorism and all this other shit, you know what I mean? I do think that two things happened at once. I think that the promotion of other women exploded. The way that women now are all into fitness and all this, I mean, white girls out here making asses. You know what I mean? All this shit going on, that happened in the background in conjunction with all the stuff that has frustrated black men, forever. And now, like, with the internet and them exchanging conversations, ideas, experiences, and everything, shit that we couldn't do before, you know what I mean? Like that only just exacerbated, those two things together just exacerbated the shit. You know what I mean? Like Cap and I, we actually have a joke going on where, I'll shoot him, like, I'll find some chick on IG and everything, some white girl, so that's fucking ass, ridiculous ass. I'm like, where did they get all this ass? Just double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon. Where did they get all this ass? And I just shoot him the picture, and then the joke is not the 1980s. Because in the 1980s, like, fucking, all the women in the 80s, man, like, you go back and look at, like, who was the hottest white woman in the 80s. None of them were with anything that black men would jump up and down about. Maybe in the 80s they would have, but not really. You know what I mean? It's like, bitch ain't built like shit, whatever. Now it's like, half of Instagram is just ass shots, just chicks doing squatting, deadlift, and everything. It's like, where did they get all this ass? This shit didn't exist before. So I'm saying, just to drive the point home, the markets have changed. And it's like, you sisters, I just don't feel like they've changed with the markets. I mean, even going back to the delusional that you would see on Kevin's, my cookies is worth it, Kevin. My cookies is worth it. Like, bitch, do you not see, like, what is out here? Like, the literal ability for dudes to slide in DMs and vice versa. Do you not see what the competition is? Like, I understand that what was she in, Alabama or Kentucky or some shit like that? Like, I get that you don't get it, but, like, there's a whole, like, when's the last time you went to a major metropolitan area? And they don't get it. And dudes are just like, hey, like, just like that job market. It's like, hey, I only want to work remote. The pandemic, that changed my whole perspective. I'm not going back to work.
And also a relocation salary as well.
Right, that's phenomenal, but is this position remote?
Unfortunately, not.
And that's literally where a lot of black men are in terms of relationships with black women. They're like, nah, man, like, no, I ain't doing it. All that classic stuff that is just so normalized with African American female behavior. Like, no, I ain't doing that. I don't have to put up with that. I've dabbled. I've been overseas. I went here. I went there. I had some fun and everything. And I recognize that this isn't all that there is to life. You know what I mean? Like, now, sisters, they'll jump up and they'll say the same thing. But, just like the brother said in the video, it's like, y'all will sit there and the dudes that are abusive, you all will protect them and defend them. And then you will act like the dude that you weren't fucking with and the dude that was abusive are one and the same. And you'll try to make some generalized, and the black man and that. No, the nigga that you were dealing with. Again, y'all just mad because you can't get a black woman. I'm so glad you said it. So glad you said it. So he wasn't the one that was abusing you. It was whoever the nigga was that you were fucking with. Why don't you take it up with him? But they don't do that. Same thing as, Cynthia G up here foaming at the mouth. Nobody told you to go out there and get with Rob and have his baby. Nobody. The man already had 5 kids, and she was grown when this happened. She was like 35 when this shit happened. Who, like, are we really gonna look at Rob and be like, now nigga? Are we really gonna look at him and be like we're surprised? That was a conscious decision that was made. And a lot of these women, they make these decisions because they want whatever it is they want right now, and then they come online and then they just because it's just been a thing in the black community forever. It's any piss poor decision black women make, blame it on a black man. Just it's his fault. Just blame it on him. And the more dysfunctional the men that they're with, the more exonerated that they become. It's the perfect, being with a guy that's dysfunctional is perfect. None of your flaws bubble to the surface. Well, he can't hold down a job. And then again, I start fucking shit up because I come in the room and I start asking them hard questions. Well, if he couldn't hold down a job, why did you have his baby? Don't try to make this conversation about black women. Just like that, whatever that woman's name is that addressing Stephen A. Smith. That was another thing that got to me. And I know I said I was going to end this video, but I'm saying that's another thing that got to me. The fact that she sat up there, that she literally sat up there and was talking to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith probably old enough to be her father. And I'm saying, look, I don't have a lot of respect for a lot of black olders, but if I'm on national television, I'm not going to show out. You know what I mean? But to me, like, what she was doing it seemed very performative. You know what I mean? Like, who are you doing this for? And she went up there, and Stephen, we are not going to talk about this, Stephen A. Smith, like saying his full name. You know what I mean? Like he's some white woman is scalding, her son or something. Dennis Bartholomew Smith, get down here right now. You know what I mean? Like saying? She was just like, we are not going to do this, Stephen A. Smith. We are not going to blame women. It wasn't even about blaming women. It was about the fact that here you have a man that had consensual sex. We're not talking rape and pillage. Consensual sex with a woman, that he wasn't supposed to have sex with because, it's fraternizing with employees or whatever. Or 2 women, whatever the hell it was. And he's getting disciplined, but she's not getting disciplined. Where is the equality in that? See, and this is what angers men, because women say equality, but then when it comes to real equality, they're still trying to act like they're a bunch of, fainting Victorian virgins, what I'm saying, from the 1880s or some shit like that. Is that the Victorian era? I forget when the Victorian era is. I think it was like the 1880s. 1870s to like 1890s or something like that. I could be wrong. You know what I mean? But she's just, really? When it's time to get punishment, when it's time to get discipline, all of a sudden you lose consciousness. You know what I mean? Somebody's supposed to catch you and then fan you off as you faint to the ground. Like, bitch, I see your eyes open. You ain't sleep. You ain't fucking unconscious. Nah. Come get this discipline. Everybody else is concerned about the fact that she's got heat exhaustion or some shit like that. I'm like, nah, that bitch is faking. Stand that bitch up. You know, and then people will be like, you're too harsh. You're too harsh. That's the problem. You just hate women. I'm like, no, I'm holding these bitches. She said equality, God damn it. She gonna get all this smoke just as much as she was ready to give the dude all this smoke. You know what I'm saying? It's fine for him to get the guillotine, but for her, she just gets a slap of, man, fuck that. All the shit that she was talking. See, you know, yeah, I agree with the unequal punishment of the genders when we're talking about traditional patriarchy and shit. I'm with that all day. I'm like, nah, man, you got way more say. She got to get with your program. Nah, man, this happened on your watch. But when women are asking for, 50-50 say and all this other stuff, I'm like, nah. Where's the we at? Miss two captains on a ship? Where's the other captain? Now all of a sudden the other captain is missing and shit like that. Now all of a sudden, I'm on his ship. Oh, she take her cap off, throw it in the water. I'm like, what happened to two captains on the ship, bitch? That's why, men take a lot of issue with modern women. But anyway, I made this video long enough. That's all I got to say. That is my video, SWP out. I'm going to see if I can upload. I'm going to upload that video clip of that guy, talking that shit. And then women I want you to watch it. I'm going to upload it. But then women are they're freaking sitting there co-signing the shit. I said I was going to upload. I'm going to upload it. Anyway, he's saying some bullshit and they're literally sitting there co-signing it. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. That's my video, SWP out.
A woman's submission is based on a man's leadership, then what is his ability to lead based on? Trip?
His ability to submit. I think we've already established that tone in this conversation. I think in order to be an effective leader, you need to know when to move out the way.
Oh, that's good. I like
because, and it's not to refute what anybody else is saying, but I don't think it's always the man who has the vision in a relationship, and I don't think it's always him that's supposed to. If let's say my lady is a lawyer, she pulling in 150 a year. The vision is clear. We're gonna need a few more years of what you got going on before we start talking about who I'm supposed to be and what I got going on. And if I need to lead by moving out of her way so she can accomplish some things to better us, then I need to be strong enough to do that. So
Unfortunately, not.
I think a lot of men lead from an egotistical place where it's about what I want, not about what we need.